it is I, the one and only CoolPika, and welcome back to more The Legend of Zelda, A Link to the Past. In the last part, we went to Zora Waterfall and got ourselves some flippers, and then we went to the wishing fountain next door and got ourselves some new upgrades. Most importantly, a brand new red shield and a brand new red boomerang. And we also went to another wishing fountain, which got us some upgrades for our bombs, which we're going to be gradually doing, but also got ourselves a empty bottle. Short episode, but we now have a few things on our list now. But in this part, no more detours. We're just gonna go head straight into the second half of the Desert Palace. Here we are. From the second palace, this is pretty much where we are now. So we're on the first floor now. So as you can see, that first basement floor here, everything practically connects, despite it being two separate buildings. Like, we have, that whole section right here, like, this one big area. We're now on the first floor, which is actually a pretty small area, and honestly, this is actually not really a big dungeon once you really get into it. It may seem big, but really, in all honesty, it's really not that bad. Also, things you gotta watch out for now. We now have the rooms like these where we have moving tiles that will come right at you. They only hit for so much, but you want to watch out for them regardless. You can slash at them. You can slash at them to get rid of them, which is actually not really hard to do, but they only respawn so much, so eventually it'll get to a point where it'll just stop. It's not like they're gonna send like every single floor tile at you. But for this room, for instance, there are gonna be some instances where you can't exactly get away from it. But there are, okay, like right now, it stopped, but aside from that, there really isn't much there is to it. They'll only throw so many floor tiles at you until it stops, but for instance, this room, we can just get away from it, but however, there are going to be some cases where there's some rooms in a dungeon where floor tiles will just come firing at you, and you really can't get out until it's finished. Either you have to avoid them or attack them, keep them out of your sight, whatever works. But really, that's pretty much all there is to it for those areas, so just something to look out for now, because from this point forward, there's going to be several instances where that's going to come up! Guess it was a matter of time until I get died to a Beamos. Because Beamos are like pretty annoying to deal with in A Link to the Past. Like, once they get to your side, they're just locked onto you. But yeah, aside from that, this is actually a really short palace, all things considered. Like, we really just got the second half. There's actually a few lanterns here. Oh, does this do anything? Okay, I think I screwed it up. Okay, actually, I don't think that actually does anything. I don't know why they have you do that when there's really no clear distinction of what you're supposed to do. Yeah, I'm just not gonna deal with the floor tiles. I'm just in fact just gonna leave them alone. But this is actually a pretty short. Actually, the second half's actually pretty short now that I'm thinking about it. Honestly, I don't even know why I recorded these two episodes the way I did, because I honestly could have just gone to the waterfall and come right back, considering how short of an episode this will be. It's like, I only really planned on recording up to this second half, but now that I'm thinking about it, oh, this is gonna be like a really short episode now. Okay, you again. So, this guy's gonna be away. I'm just gonna get rid of him just so he's not a nuisance to deal with. We gotta light these torches in particular now, and this will open up a secret hallway. Not really hard to do, but it's something that's a bit out of the way. But, wow. Now that I think about it, yeah. I guess I should apologize with how short the episodes are. I guess I'm gonna have to apologize for how short these episodes are now, because, honestly, I only planned on doing this in smaller sections, and honestly, I try to keep my episodes at certain lengths, like, at least at a decent length, like, 20 to 30 minutes at max, but sometimes I've had instances where it's gone over 40 before, which is something I usually can't help. But aside from that, yeah. I think a lot of this will depend on how well this boss goes, which is actually not going to be really hard to do. Because this boss is actually pretty easy, and next thing you know what it is... Oh no, not the worms! Alright, I actually don't know what the name of this boss is, so I'm actually gonna look this up. A Link to the Past Desert Boss? I really need to look up these names. I actually did not... The one thing I did not research are these boss names. Okay. Desert Palace Boss? What's the name of the boss? I just want to know what the name of the boss is. Okay, what's the name of the boss here? Okay, I just need to know what the name of the boss is, so I'm just scrolling down real quick just to see what this is. Cause, like, I really need to research this stuff beforehand. Lamola. That's what the name are. They're called Lamolas. Okay, that's what they're called. You know what? I think for now on, like, every time we enter a new boss, I'm just gonna put up the names for the bosses. Every time we face a new boss, so you know what the names of them are. That's probably, like, the one thing I probably should have researched beforehand, so I just know what they are. So at least have that in my notes. The one thing I don't have in my notes that I probably should have thought of doing is these things. So, these things, there's really not much to say about this boss. So, you're just gonna wait for them to pop out of the ground and just spawn around and fly. And attack them from the head. Alternatively, you can shoot them with the arrows. But I find it more easier to just hit them with a sword. But you can't do it that way. So yeah, there's really 3 of them to take care of, and they're actually pretty durable. I don't really have much to say about this boss in particular, so... Once again, these bosses are still pretty on the easy side. But I think this will... I'm gonna think after this... But after this, though, I think this is kind of where it changed, because, the next boss, for the Pendant of Wisdom, I believe, that one's actually a pain in the ass to deal with. Which, I'm not going to get into that right now, but that one is going to be a difficult one when we come up to that one. Because after that, the first 2 bosses are actually pretty easily. It's just that you just kind of have to wait for the right moment to strike with the Armored Knights, but with Lamola, you just got to wait for him to pop up from the ground and strike. That's really all there is to it. And I'm saying that, I'm probably going to die to this boss too. Or get passive with barely like 1 heart standing. Okay, nope, I died. Nope, I died. Okay, that's 2 times I died in this dungeon. Alright. So... there we go. So yeah, we got one more. We got one more of these land molas to take care of now. So with that, that's all the land molas. We're gonna help ourselves to Seg and Heart container, and okay. Guess I'm gonna have to make this a gag now. You won the Pendant of Power. Yeah, for some reason the Pendant of Power is blue instead of red. Honestly, this confuses me a bit even still, as a Zelda fan now. Why is... now that I'm looking at it, why is the Pendant of Power blue and not red? Because, I've always kind of just imagined that the one up at Death Mountain was the Pendant of Power, and the one in the desert is the Pendant of Wisdom. This is actually the one instance where they got the colors mixed up. Like, red is power, blue is wisdom, and green is courage. I think if anything, green for courage is what stayed the most consistent. Okay, that's just something. I guess that's just like a small nitpick of anything, but A, it's an older Zelda title, so I'm not gonna complain too much about it. But, yeah, short work of the dungeon, if I'm being completely honest. Oh, geez, to be perfectly honest, I had nothing else planned for this. I had nothing else planned for this video, and I'm already done in like 10 minutes. I'm already like ahead of the ball game here. Jeez. It's like, where do I go from here? Aside from that, I guess there's probably a few small things I can show off now, but... Jeez, I probably should have planned out these videos better than I should have, because, yeah, I should have remembered that these palaces are actually a lot shorter. Well, more so, the Desert Palace in particular is not actually a long one. It's really not a long one at all. In fact, I think that was like the shortest palace out of all the dungeons, out of all the first 3 dungeons in this game. The last one's actually going to be a bit the longest though, but aside from that, that's about much it to that extent. Yeah, the first one was like fairly decent, a bit of exploration, but like, not much to say, but honestly, I think the Desert Palace is actually really short once you know how to get through it. I mean, it may look intimidating at first, but really, it's actually a really short dungeon, and it's something I can clear, like, really fast. Really not that hard whatsoever. But I guess now that we're at this point, there actually is one other thing I can actually do now. Well, now that I'm actually here, because first off, I guess there's a few places that now open up to us now that we have the stone. Now that we have the power gloves, we can now lift up areas with white stones, and now we can open up certain shortcuts that we can access now. So, there's one thing I can, like, show off real quick. Probably a few things, like, outside from that, and I think that could be, like, a good way to call it. Okay, so, one of the first things also to do with here is, over in the graveyard. There was not a lot we could do in the graveyard, but there actually is something we could do here now, because I forgot about this. So, I'm just gonna get rid of this guy real quick. Yeah, I'm not really feeling this guy here, but, over here, there's a little secret where we can find the graveyard. Well, the 1 and 2 secrets in the graveyard, we just can't access the other one for the time being, which is actually this little area right here. Push this grave tomb, and you fall, and where would you believe it? We find ourselves actually back in the secret passage to the sanctuary to Hyrule Castle. Yeah, I bet you didn't think we could go back here, but yet we can. Granted, you can't really use the secret passage to get back into Hyrule Castle, but you still can get back into Hyrule Castle itself, except you just can't access the secret passage through that way. But however, there is stuff we can access here. We couldn't access this before. If you go in here, there's actually a few treasure chests we can get. We can get some bombs, which we're maxed out on. 300 rupees, which is actually a really good way because, we've kind of spent a lot of it on upgrades and slippers. So that's like a really good way to get yourself back up in rupees once you done with getting the slippers, because that'll take a lot of your rupees out of you, although most of it kind of just went through upgrading my bombs, or at least the capacity of bombs that I could take up. So really, that's really all there is worth getting, aside from that one place. Aside from that, you don't really need to come back here anymore. And another thing worth noting, if you for any reason try to access Hyrule Castle through this passage, you really can't do that because that door that was at the entrance of the secret passage, that remains closed, regardless of what you do. So, you really can't go back there. I will say, minor spoilers though, like, you can access the castle now, but once you've, like, reached a certain point in the game, Hyrule Castle will no longer be accessible to you. So, I'm just gonna leave that out there. But, like, aside from that, like, Hyrule Castle is not gonna be open to you forever. I'm just gonna point that out right here now. There's gonna be only one instance in the game where you're gonna be required to go back in there, but after that, you're pretty much locked out of it. Not that there's anything important you're gonna be, like, really missing out on if you don't get it. Like, let's face it, the treasure chest, the only thing that's really significant is the treasure chest, but even then, it's really just that one lamp. And really, if you haven't already gotten that lamp, then you would have gotten it. I mean, honestly, you're pretty much rigged to getting that lamp regardless, because, like, you can't really progress without it. So they really make sure you get that lamp. That's really all that is worth noting about Hyrule Castle, is just that one lamp. But aside from that, there's actually someone over at Lake Hylia that I can get over there too, so I'm gonna cut back there real quick. Yeah, I'm only remembering this now. There was actually someone over in this area that is actually that can be accessed now. There's like a little secret patches here. Not really much of this place. It's just like a little secret place where you can just take rupees. Kind of a smaller grinding spot for rupees than that desert area. To be honest, I would just stick to I would just stick to the secret hideout in the desert area if you want to grind for rupees that way. I think it's just easier doing that. So, I'm just gonna be particularly real with you. So that's real. But that's all there really is to it. You can earn a lot of rupees by defeating enemies. It's the secret of my success. Yeah, I don't think you're really making that much, buddy. But really, that's really about it I really wanted to show. Aside from that, I guess I should say something other than sorry that these episodes are surprisingly short. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. I mean, I guess these episodes are pretty short. I mean, like, in the grand scheme of things, I'm not actually playing a really big game, so it's like, I guess it's not my bad on me, because usually I try to keep these episodes typically around 20 to 30 minutes long, if anything, but now I'm at this point, it's like, for some reason, but there's gonna be like some instances where it's like, I don't necessarily need them to be that long. Well, I guess it's just something I'm gonna work with as I go along, such, but you know what, that's pretty much it for this episode. I'm gonna be perfectly honest with you. I've done everything I wanted to do in this case, but aside from that, that's gonna be it from me in this episode, and what a way to die. Right when I was about to wrap up the episode. Come on, guys. Okay, but this is gonna be it for this part, so, thank you all for tuning in. So, next time on The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past, we're gonna potentially see more areas we can check out now that we have our power gloves. I don't think there's a lot, for instance, but aside from that, if there really isn't a lot, we're probably just gonna go and find our way up to Death Mountain, which is probably gonna be our next objective. Going forward, because our last pendant is up there. With that being said, I will see you all next time. CoolPika, out of here.